All right, we are live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming to the info night for our ninth grade slash rising 10th grade um, information about course schedules and graduation requirements and all that good stuff. We'll wait just another minute or two for the last few people to get logged in here, and then we will get rolling. All right, and after that awkward silence, I think we're ready to get going here. Thank you for logging in. My name is John Sawyer. I'm one of the counselors at Cal High, and I have with me tonight Cheryl Youngberg, who's also going to be presenting. And we also have our support counselor, Katie Donovan, who's going to be answering some of your questions in the Q&A. Appreciate you guys giving us the time tonight. We will let you know that we are recording this, and this presentation, as well as the slide deck, will be available on our Cal High Counseling website. Just a couple housekeeping items up front here. The chat feature is off, but the Q&A is on. As I mentioned, Ms. Lapata is monitoring that, and will try to keep up with your questions. And please hold your general questions until the end if you can, because there is a very good chance that your question is going to be answered by the content that we're going to be presenting to you tonight. And just also a quick note, if you're on a mobile device, the Q&A may not work. So, and as also I said, the presentation is going to be posted on our YouTube page as well as the counseling website, and the slide deck will also be available here. And with that, let's get rolling. In this session, we're going to talk about our counseling team. We're going to talk about the high school graduation versus the A through G college entrance requirements. We're going to be talking about the Cal High courses that your students can take on campus with us and the registration. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the non-district courses and some student and parent tips, hopefully that you guys will get some value out of as far as managing time and stress levels and those kind of good things. So we'll start off with introducing the team. So who is my counselor? We have by last name here on the list on the left side there. We start with Miss Avila, who has the front end of the alphabet, then myself, and then everybody all the way on down. So the letter B, the last initial B, we had some a little bit of shake up there. So please keep in mind if your last name starts with B, your counselor may be different than it would be for that part of the alphabet. And we also have our support counselor, Mrs. Lapata, and then our wellness center coordinator, Mrs. Hobbs, and also our college and career coordinator, Miss Nichols, who is a wealth of information for your students. So let's talk about what next year holds for you and your student. We handed out the course selection sheets to your students in their either ethnic studies or health class sometime within the last week. We had a counselor come to the classroom, kind of get them familiar with which courses are available to them, talk about the upcoming dates, and what some of those graduation requirements are. So the additional information and the resources, as I said earlier, are on the counseling website. We have courses, copies of those course sheets there that you can download, print, mark up, whatever you need to do, and they are by grade level. And next to each course offering, you'll see a little A through G, so you can see which of the UC and Cal State entrance requirements that Cal High class meets for college entrance. We also have a link to the high school course catalog on the Cal High Counseling website, and that has got a detailed description of each course that we offer here on campus. And we've got links to other AP and honors resources that your student might find helpful and interesting if they plan on taking weighted classes next year. And also, we'll review the high school graduation requirement versus those college entrance requirements because they are a little different. So let's start there. We'll compare the high school graduation versus the A through Gs. So social studies, the high school graduation requirements there in the second column from the left are 35 credits, which is 3.5 years worth of work. And world geography has actually changed to ethnic studies this year. And then 10th grade, your students will take a world history class. 11th grade, they'll take a US history class. And then senior year, they will take government and econ. For the UC and Cal State, it's the same requirement. They require 1 year of world history and 1 year of US history. So they don't require the Gov and Econ and they don't require the ethnic studies. For your English, it's the same all the way across all platforms. 4 years, you need to be in an English class your entire high school career in order to graduate and to meet those college entrance requirements. For math, high school, you need 20 credits. 10 of those credits need to be Algebra 1 and then one other year. But if your student has already completed Algebra 1 before they got to high school, that's great. That doesn't mean they have to retake it in high school. It just means they need to still take 2 years of math while they're in high school. For the Cal States and the UCs, it is the same. They want you to complete Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, and they do recommend a fourth year. What that fourth year is up to your student. Some go the calculus route and go into pre-cal. Some go the statistics route. So there's a couple of different choices as they get up there in the math pathways. And continuing on in science, we have pretty much the same requirements across all platforms of 2 years, one physical and one life science. But for the UCs, they do recommend a third year of science. And that third year of science can be anything that we offer on campus. We have our biomed pathway, we have computer science. I believe sports med counts as a third year of science. Ms. Youngberg, please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But we have several options. And then for their breadth requirement, which we're calling those next three, the world language, visual performing art, and vocational arts, if your goal is high school graduation and you're going to community college, military, job training, anything like that, you just need to complete 2 of those 3 categories. So world language and fine art or world language and vocational art, etc. You do not have to complete all 3 for high school graduation. But for the universities, Cal State and UC, they require 2 years of the same language. So get through level 2, and the UCs recommend a third year, and you are required to do at least 1 year of visual or performing art, and they don't have a requirement for the vocational or applied art. And then getting to health, that is a high school graduation requirement that either your student has already completed or is in process of right now and will be complete at the end of this semester. The Cal State and the UCs do not require that for admittance. Neither do they require PE. Again, that's a state requirement, 2 years while you're in high school. The electives is a total of 60 credits, and we count anything that your student takes above the minimum graduation requirement in any subject toward their elective. So it doesn't just have to be something that doesn't fit anywhere else, like yearbook or newspaper or something like that. It can be anything. Like, let's say your student finishes the 2 years of math and they still want to take 2 more years of math. Those second 2 years of math are going to count towards their electives for high school graduation. And then for Cal State and UC, they want 1 year of an additional A through G approved course. And then so for total high school graduation, to walk across that stage at the end of senior year, the credit count needs to be 220 with a grade of a D minus or higher. So that's 60% or higher. And then Cal State and UC, those A through G requirements add up to 15 courses and they need to have a C minus or higher. So that's a 70% or higher. And then private and out-of-state schools, they vary. Some of them might require 4 years of math. Some of them may want 3 years of lab science instead of just the 2. And many of them we're seeing are bringing back the SAT and the ACT. So please, please, please check with those out-of-state and private institutions on their specific entrance requirements. And then this is what your student's transcript looks like. And you can always find this. This is always available to you in Infinite Campus. If you go under the Documents tab and scroll down to Portal Transcript, this is the document that you're going to see. If you look at the box on the right there, that is the credit summary, which is very helpful. We have 4 columns of numbers there: credits attempted, earned, required, and remaining. So you can always tell where your student is at and what is remaining. And if you have questions or your student has questions, please come and see us, shoot us an email. We want to kind of get rid of confusion and quell that, and remove as much stress from your lives as possible when it comes to these kinds of things. So there is a GPA summary, and that's in the top left, the second to the top left box there. And that contains the weighted, the unweighted, the Cal Grant GPA, which the state uses for financial aid, and then the weighted 10 through 12 A through G GPA. So there's a whole bunch there. And then for a little bit more explanation, 220 credits is the number to graduate high school. Each course is worth 5 credits per semester. As long as the student passes the course with a D- or 60% high and higher, they will earn the credits for that class towards that high school diploma. So to stay on a worry-free track, make sure you are earning your 30 credits per semester, and you will be just fine to graduate and walk across that stage and let your family scream and yell for you, and they'll take pictures of you and all that good stuff. And I'll talk about remediation here real quick. What it means is repeating the course the next year or in summer school as available, or taking it outside the district. So if you receive an F in a course and you need to make it up, or if you receive a D in a course and need to make it up for college admission, this is a path that you will need to walk down. So if you get an F, you got to remediate it for graduation. And as I said, if you earn a D, you need to remediate it for college admission. And us counselors can certainly give you more information should that situation arise. And we will review all of your students' information with them directly during our one-on-one meetings with them. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Ms. Youngberg.
All right. So there are a lot of different things to talk about here, but I know that John went over the A to Gs. We're just going to go over specifically the 10th grade year and what you should be looking at, okay? So for rising 10th graders, let's just talk about the required ones that you guys do have to do first. All students do have to take English, and they all have to take history. Next year, your options are English 10, or you can take English 10 Global Studies. Both of them meet the A to G. And then for history, you can choose either World History Global Studies, regular World History, AP European History, or AP World History. Just keep in mind, Global Studies is a block type class, so it pairs up with your English class. So if you do want to do the Global Studies course, you will be choosing both English Global Studies and Global Studies History. Unfortunately, if you do decide to do Global Studies, keep in mind that you cannot do the AP World or the AP European History. It does partner together. So if that's something you're interested in, it's a great program. A lot of kids really like it. It's pretty popular. So great one to try out if you'd like to. Okay, so that's for English and for history. All right. Next slide. There we go. All right. So for math, basically, you're going to be taking the next class in the sequence. So each year of high school is recommended for college admission. If you're currently in Algebra 1, for next year, you would be choosing geometry. Okay. If you're currently in geometry, next year, you would be choosing Algebra 2 or possibly Accelerated Algebra 2, and then so forth. The math pathways are listed in the course catalog, and we're also more than happy to answer any questions about that if your students want to come in and talk to us about it. All right, for science, as you know, 20 credits are required for graduation. Most of our ninth graders are currently enrolled in biology because that is something that we automatically put our ninth graders in. However, you could have elected to delay that, and maybe you will be starting that next year in your 10th grade year. If you are not in biology right now, you're going to want to sign up for biology for next year. If you're currently in biology right now, the next level that most students do choose is either chemistry or honors chemistry. That will meet the physical science requirement. Physics may also be chosen to fulfill the physical science requirement as well. All right, so once you've done those 2 years, then you're good to go. And then for PE, so there are 20 credits required to graduate. Hopefully, your child is currently in PE 9 or doing some sort of independent study PE to earn the credits for PE this year. And after the 9th grade year, most students should have 10 credits of PE, which means that they have one more year to fulfill any time between 10th through 12th grade. Okay, so they can do that in a few different ways. There's a PE class that students can elect to take either during their 10th, 11th, or 12th grade year. It isn't like a general PE class like it is for 9th grade. Students are able to choose a specific class such as weightlifting, yoga, team sports, sports conditioning. So we do have some specialized PE classes so kids can choose what they would like to take. All right. There's also athletic PE. So students right now, the 9th graders are not eligible to get credit for athletic PE if they're playing a sport for Cal High. But if they continue to play anytime in 10th through 12th grade, what they can do is apply for athletic PE. So that means that they're participating in a Cal High sport. Maybe they're going to play baseball for us next year. And as long as they participate, complete the season, and their coaches sign off on the athletic PE form at the end of the season, that can be turned in, and that will earn them the next 10 credits of PE that they'll need to get to 20. All right, another option too are for our students who are in the marching band. We do give PE credit for this. They do have to be a part of it for 2 seasons. So they would have to be a part of it in their 10th grade season and 11th grade season, or 11th and 12th, whatever, at least as long as it's 2 seasons that they're a part of it, they'd be able to earn the 10 credits that they would need for PE. The last option is independent study PE. That is a district program that we do offer for students who compete in an individual sport outside of Cal High. We do have a lot of students who, are gymnasts outside of here. They're, professional dancers. They're competing at a very high level and oftentimes at the state, regional, and national level. And that's kind of what this is geared towards for those students who may be playing that competitive sport individually. It does require an application because we do need to know exactly what you're doing during that time with your coach, with your instructor. And so there is an application that opens up on March 2nd, and that'll be on the district website for Independent Study PE. And we give you a little bit over a month to complete it. It closes on April 10th. There is a portion there that is required by the coach to complete, your instructor to complete, and they also have to provide a certificate of liability insurance and a couple of other requirements. So if you're interested in that, to be able to count your PE that you're doing outside of Cal High, you would be able to do that if you wanted to apply for that. Just make sure that you meet that deadline of April 10th because they will not be accepted after that deadline. Please also be aware that this does not include team sports, okay? Only for individual sports. All right, awesome, thank you. Okay, so now this is one where I know a lot of kids this is the breadth requirement that we do talk about to our students. So it's 3 areas that we're looking at here. So we have world language, we also have fine art, and we have vocational and applied art. So of those 3 areas, in order to graduate, you need to fulfill at least 2 of these areas, okay? So taking at least 1 year-long class in 2 of these areas. So technically, you can graduate without ever taking a world language. If you decide to do a year of a fine art, like maybe you're going to take photography, and a year of vocational art, say you decide to do like culinary arts, then you would fulfill the graduation requirement in this breadth area and you wouldn't have to do a world language. All right. However, if you're hoping to apply directly to a four-year school, a college right after high school, then there are two areas that you really do need to make sure that you fulfill. All right, one is the world language. Mr. Sawyer talked about this earlier about needing 2 years of the same language. They do recommend a third. All right, and then a fine art, those are your visual and performing arts courses. So anything, anywhere from photo to music to dance to theater, to art, ceramics, those types of courses will count towards that visual and performing art and are accepted by the UC and CSU. Vocational applied arts, those are a lot of our career tech courses, including a lot of our culinary arts program that also includes some computer courses and such. So those are definitely courses that are very useful and helpful, and a lot of kids really enjoy it. And a lot of kids actually end up just fulfilling all three just because they have room to do so with their electives before they graduate. But just so you're aware, 2 out of those 3 are required. So you may be continuing on in your world language next year. Maybe you're starting in fine art. All right. Okay. Okay, so electives and other requirements, just like Mr. Sawyer was saying, I think that this tends to trick up a lot of students as well because they look at 60 credits and they're like, how am I going to take 60 credits worth of elective classes? Well, that is it's not how it really works. We try and tell students to think about it as credits and not so much as classes. I kind of tell kids that it's like their elective bucket. So like Mr. Sawyer mentioned before, say a student in this example, they're taking biology as a ninth grader and then chemistry as a sophomore, but they definitely plan on taking a couple of more science courses in their high school career. All right. Any of your high school science courses that you take after you've done your first 2 years are going to be thrown into that elective credit bucket. All right. And so I always tell students, as long as you're passing your classes, taking a full load, like 6 classes, 9th, 10th, 11th grade year, then you are definitely they're going to take care of itself. All right. And also we meet with you yearly to make sure that you're taking care of everything that you need to. So we definitely keep an eye on it as well. Okay, so this year, this is a little bit something different. Hopefully you guys have heard about this. I know that we've introduced it to our students. It's our School Links course planner. School Links is basically replacing what students used to use in the past called Naviance, which was like our college and career exploration website. Now we use School Links, where it has all of those features that Naviance had, plus a ton more. So we are really, really liking it. New platform. I think it's very user friendly. The kids have been enjoying using it, not just only to plan for courses, but it gives them an opportunity to search all the colleges out there, take some inventory so that they can kind of figure out where their interests are. It helps them narrow down when they do kind of come down to that college search. It's a great place to start there, and it's something that we provide to our students. You do have to have a special account to have it, so it's not something that anyone can just log into. So students with an SRV USD can log into it, and it's fabulous. This year, we're going to be using it for students to be able to choose their classes for next year. So if they remember last year when they were choosing their ninth grade classes, we had them log into Infinite Campus. This year, they're going to be logging into School Links to do their course planner. Okay. So here are a lot of the resources that we're going to be talking about. So like we have mentioned, we did go into the classroom to talk about this. We did show them a short video on how to take care of it and how to log on to School Links and how to work in the course planner. The course selection sheet is also linked here. And then of course the course catalog is also linked as well. So the course catalog is also embedded into School Links. So it's all in one place when you're opening up the school planner, the course planner. You can also look directly at the course catalog while you're in there. So it's kind of a nice all-in-one place for everything. All right, so just some nuts and bolts to kind of review. that we've already talked to students about when we went to the classrooms, okay? So we want to make sure, students are going to be putting in their requests for the courses that they want for next year. And we're also going to be asking them to kind of plan for the 11th and 12th grade year, even though those are not going to be set in stone, all right? But as they are doing their requests, it's important that they always have an alternate for those requests, okay? They're not all, everything that we choose on there. As you know, we do have some limitations in the master schedule. Your requests aren't always guaranteed, but the alternates certainly help us create the best schedule for you. Okay, the science rule, we are very strict on the science rule. Students are allowed to take one core science. And when I talk about a core science, I'm talking about your biology, your chemistry, your physics courses, marine biology, honors anatomy and physiology. Those types of courses are considered your core science courses. Now, you can take a course as well that is a science elective, and those are courses that are in such as the health pathway, and those as you get older in the junior and senior year, there might be some more science electives that are available to students. All right, and those are marked with an asterisk on the course selection sheet. Also keep in mind, as you were doing some research on some of your classes on the back of your course selection sheet, it may tell you that it requires an audition, application, or interview. And a lot of those do happen in the next couple of months here. So if you are interested in doing something like trying out for, theater 3, or maybe you're trying out for a specific band class, make sure that you're keeping an eye out on announcements, reading your emails, because teachers are starting to communicate with students when those applications and when those auditions are happening. All right. Just so you're aware, as you know, very similar to this year, we do have some restrictions in the master schedule. We're doing the best that we can. Obviously, we'd like to offer as many courses as possible, but definitely, things filled up very, very fast, and your kids probably notice how full their classes are right now. So just be aware of that. That's why the alternates are important. And then just a couple of school links tips for students as we've been helping them through it. If you are unable to find a class, just make sure that, and it comes up as like, oh, no classes are found. I've noticed that on a few kids. Just make sure that you clear any of the filters or sequences, make sure they're unchecked or off, because then it'll just kind of make sure that it opens up so that you can see everything that we have to offer. All right. Another thing is that the search field is pretty sensitive. All right. So I always tell students, just put the first few letters of the class that you're thinking about. So, I had a student who was looking for Spanish 2, and they put in Spanish 2, like the number 2, when it's supposed to be the Roman numeral 2, and that it wouldn't search it up. So if you're looking for something, just put in the first few letters and it should come up for you. All right. Okay. So I know some students are interested in taking a 7th class, which is our B period that happens after the school day. We do still have some restrictions on what programs that students can be a part of, and also elect to be in a B period and have that 7th class. As you can see, you do have to be part of one of these programs in order to be eligible to have 7 classes. So you can kind of see there the list of what we do have to offer that would allow a 7th class. This is also for many students who, are planning on doing band every year. They're in the theater program and they hope to do that all 4 years. Same thing with dance and other programs. So keep that in mind as well. Those are okay for you to be able to choose and also have a 7th class. And I know a lot of kids are always asking, if I choose a 7th class, which one's going to be my B period? And we can't answer that. We create the master schedule over the summer, but I will say that more often than not, that B period is going to probably be one of your core classes. Okay, so we do our best to kind of make it work for students in their schedule. It doesn't always work out to be that way because there's so few classes that we're able to offer in the B period. But typically, if there is one that does fall into the B period that works, it'll most likely be one of your core academic courses. Okay, a little bit more. On non-district courses, let's get started on that. I know that a lot of kind of questions come through. Before I even get started on this, I know a lot of the questions, they just kind of start building up in the Q&A. We really can't answer specific questions. So if you're asking, what kind of biology, where can I take biology, or where would you recommend that I take a math class, or is it okay if I take it here? Unfortunately, we can't really guide you on that because there are so many institutions out there. And so we really do redirect you to our SRV USD website on non-district courses. They tell you what the requirements are. And for those that are not familiar with non-district courses, these are courses that students may take outside of Cal High and, certainly may earn high school credit towards it, or are just taking it because they wish to. All right. So, it's not a requirement. It's not necessary. You can get into great colleges without having to do this. The feedback that we have received from colleges, we've had well over 100 that have visited, and each and every single one, Mrs. Nichols, our college and career advisor, asked them, like, how do they feel about it? And they always say, one of the first things that we do look at if a student is taking a class outside is we look to see if the high school offers it. So their preference is that students exhaust the curriculum at the high school um, before taking anything outside. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. But if it's something that you wish to do, just make sure that you let us know of what your plans are during our one-on-one meeting so that we can make sure that you're filling out the necessary forms to make sure that we are aware of it and so that we can build the master schedule accordingly. We do have a link right there for you for the non-district courses as well. And then there's just lots of different kind of rules. So make sure that you're reading through that carefully. And if you have any follow-up questions, we're more than happy to work with your student and answer any one-on-one. All right. Okay, just a few more things about non-district courses. Here's just basically our general guidelines. Like I've always told students, it's like, well, I'm interested in taking something, I'm not quite sure what. Or sometimes a student might come to me and say, I'm really interested in taking this, abnormal psychology class, but we don't offer it at Cal High. That would be a perfect opportunity to take something outside. When there's something that a student is genuinely interested in it and we don't offer it, that makes sense, right? Or if it truly cannot possibly fit, like sometimes I have students who are they're very into, they're in musical theater, so they might also be in choir, they might also be in theater, and then they also have the requirements that they need to make sure that they're meeting the graduation requirement. And so they may opt to take one of those courses outside. Again, that's another situation where it would completely make sense. All right. We also tell students that if you do not need this course to graduate, meaning you're taking an elective course that you need, you're still going to get well over, easily to 220 credits. We strongly recommend that you only place courses on the CHS transcript that are required for graduation. Okay, the reason we tell you that is because when you're applying to college anyway, the colleges still expect you to report every institution that you've attended. So every institution where you've taken a non-district course, you have to put that in as a high school attended. And they also require that a separate transcript is sent from that original institution anyway. So even if it's placed on our Cal High transcript, you're still responsible for sending a transcript from DVC or from Apex or BYU Independent Study, wherever you take that course. That also has to go to the colleges. One mistake that I've unfortunately have seen a lot of seniors do this year and where they saw that it was on their Cal High transcript and they reported it as a Cal High class that they took and kind of stated that the class that they took was at Cal High. And unfortunately, they had to go back and correct it all. It wasn't an easy task to do, especially when students apply to many, many colleges. because they have to notify those admissions offices individually. It's not like you can just go into a portal and make a change. You have to contact them individually to make those changes. So that's why I always tell students, like, unless you absolutely need it for graduation, just keep it separate. Because when you apply to colleges, you're going to be submitting all that stuff anyway separately, and they're going to be recalculating your GPA anyway. Okay, so they always recalculate and reevaluate. All right. Okay. So with all of that said, I know the NDC topic tends to kind of lead into the next place where it's like I'm taking a lot of these because I want to put myself in the best position, when I'm applying for college, and I'd like to get ahead in certain areas, or I'd like to learn more in certain areas because I'm interested in it. So oftentimes the next conversation is, what can I be doing now to prepare for college? Here are some of just the general guidelines that we tell students. One is to think about ways that you can get involved in your school community. This could be by joining a club, participating in a sport, getting into leadership, doing academic leadership, doing some tutoring, things like that. How can you get involved in the school community? Because that is a clear indicator of how involved you're going to get into your college community. All right. We also encourage students to explore opportunities outside of the classroom. One of our college reps, made a great statement about, like, we don't want to see a bunch of professional students. If you feel like in your free time, outside of class, what you want to do is take more classes. They prefer to see other opportunities explored. They want to see what you're interested in. They want you to have some curiosity in other things other than taking more and more classes. Okay, so think about ways that you can take advantage of those opportunities outside of the classroom. All right, and those could be things anywhere from, participating in a sport, being really involved in a high level in your club. That could be getting a part-time job. Those are all very positive things that colleges do like to see. Okay. And then of course, continue to develop those time management skills. As getting into high school, it's definitely an adjustment, but as you get to each higher grade, it's also an adjustment. It gets a little bit more challenging. The classes are a little bit harder. There's a little bit more on your plate. So continuing to work on those time management skills are important. Building those relationships with your school community, your teachers, your counselors, your peers. That is a great way also to prepare for college because, you know, um, depending on where you decide to apply to college, or if you do decide to do that, you will be asking your teachers for a letter of recommendation, and your counselor oftentimes is required to write a letter of recommendation. Okay. And then attend any of those college and career fairs that we offer on our campus, or when our college reps come to visit. It's a great opportunity to, kind of hear what they have to say about it. That typically does happen during the fall semester. All right. We did kind of include this on the box on the right here because we do feel like we're seeing this so much of our students. Why, I feel like they tend to believe that they just need to do all of it, or that, there's so many classes that they want to take, but they instead of, trying to make choices of what's best for them, they are worried and feel like they need to take all of these courses, right? So, remembering that doing everything, especially in a competitive community like ours, when everyone's taken all the same advanced classes, when everyone's taking courses over the summer, when everyone's doing the activities, transcripts start to look the same. All right. And so they already know that a lot of kids are qualified, especially at a lot of these selective colleges. And so it's not so much about who did the most, right? Colleges are asking, who is this student beyond just checking the box, right? What genuinely interests them? Where did they show depth, growth, and impact, right? More does not necessarily equal unique. Remember to balance out your strengths, all right? It by doing that, you're able to stand out more. Okay, so remember also, and I always tell this to students, because you are also compared by the peers in your school group, right? So that does kind of ring true. So you want to make sure that you're doing other things, and that you are, being curious and you're exploring. Those are things that colleges do like to see. Okay. All right. And then important tips for taking care of your mental health. Um, Mr. Sawyer, feel free to jump in. I just keep talking here, so I'm not quite sure. Um, if you have anything to say, let me know. All right, so important tips for taking care of your mental health. This is just something where we have seen challengesuccess.org is an organization that is driven through Stanford University, their graduate research programs out there that they've been doing. We found this to be super helpful. I think I like it. It's basically the PDF for parents, caregivers, and teens and adolescents. And basically, it's about making sure that you are carving out time for playtime, downtime, and family time. As you can see on the bottom there, the statistics are kind of glaring, where, students seem to feel and have felt like rigor has to equate to, struggle, exhaustion, burnout, and it doesn't have to. But as you can see, and this seems to be ring true for a lot of teenagers, so many of them are sleep deprived, they're chronically stressed out. They aren't engaged in their learning because they're just so stressed about just getting it done and getting through it. And then of course there's a third of our students who don't feel like they belong at school. So those are the types of things that challengesuccess.org is trying to fight and combat, and they have a lot of great resources on that site, so we encourage you to check it out for sure. Okay, so let's just recap. I know that we have talked about a lot of information. Just so you're aware, the course plans, and we've told your students this, it's also on the, we've announced it to them. Their course plans that they're working on in School Links needs to be submitted by the end of the school day on Friday, February 27th. So that's this Friday, okay? Drop-in times, we are able to answer questions from students. Some students are like, can I have an appointment with you? We are allowing to meet. We are happy to meet with students and answer questions, but we can't right now pull them out of classes because it's a huge disruption to our teachers during instructional time. And we're already going to be pulling them out of classes already in a couple of weeks to talk with them for their one-on-one meeting. So during this time, as they're figuring things out, we have drop-in times anytime before school, after school, brunch, or lunch, and we're happy to work with students. Also, this entire week, we are holding sessions during student support. Today, we had a lot of students sign up and they came in, so that's great. I know a lot of students have already signed up for student support for the week, so if they do want to change it and want to meet with their counselor instead for one of those sessions, they can easily just email their counselor or come in and let us know, and we'll sign you up for one of the student supports this week so that we can take a look at your course planner, answer any questions that you might have. All right. And then, of course, as we always say, I know we've said balance about a million times in this, but it really is about creating a schedule that's balanced for you, trying really hard not to focus on what all your friends are doing, but more on what is good for you. All right. And then, of course, when you are making that plan for next year, to consider your extracurricular activities. Okay, complete that time management worksheet to help you. Remember, 10th grade, it's about building on your strong habits, not racing ahead. I think a lot of 10th graders are super excited and they're ambitious, and a lot of questions that kind of come to us are like, how many APs can I take, or how many honors classes can I take? When really you are still taking care of a lot of requirements for graduation. There are a couple of different weighted courses that may be offered to you, and you can certainly take advantage of those. But we do not want students trying to stack their schedules with, 3 college level courses in their sophomore year. So make sure that, the growth is slow. It's not just like jumping into it so quick. Okay. Again, I already mentioned the alternate choices. And then another thing to do as you are working with your parent or guardian on this is, and parents might even have questions, write those down And those can certainly be answered when we meet with your student one-on-one. Okay, that's a great opportunity to ask those questions. Okay, as we talked about, we are going to have one-on-ones. Those meetings currently are going to take place between March 9th through 12th. If for whatever reason your student is out ill, or they have other commitments where they couldn't make it when we called them in, that's okay. We do have a list, and so we keep a list of everyone that we have met with and check it off, and anyone that we have not met with. We do makeups throughout the months towards the end of March and through May, actually. So don't worry, your child will be met with. And so if you aren't able to make it and you're absent on one of those days, that's okay. All right. During that one-on-one, students can certainly make any adjustments if they want to. So even though that they're due on the 27th and they've submitted and everything, and they may change their mind later on, that's okay. Let us know during our one-on-one and we can make those adjustments. And then even after our meeting, we're going to give students one more opportunity. If they change their mind, because that's what teenagers do, that we will let them, we'll open up a Google form in May before they leave for the summer. So if they do want to make some last minute changes. All right. And then on the bottom there, we totally understand. We know that a lot of parents and guardians would love to have an individual meeting with each of us or counselor. That is very challenging for us with having over 400 students each. And so that is why we do carve out a decent amount of time to have those individual meetings with your student. So definitely review it with your student. If you have any specific questions, feel free to send us an email. But yeah, definitely a very busy time with us. So we are so appreciative of your patience and understanding during this time. Okay, and I think, are we towards the end here?
We are.
Okay, awesome, great. Okay, so as you can kind of see there, we are going to post this presentation on our YouTube page, and probably give us a couple of days to do that after tonight. It'll also be linked on our website, on our counseling website, along with this slide deck, because I know this slide deck also includes some links as well. So that'll also be linked on our counseling website as well. Okay. One more reminder, write this down, put it in your calendar on your phone somewhere, that make sure that those course plans are submitted by this Friday, February 27th. You can start submitting them now. I've been getting a lot of them now, and it's been great. So kids are doing a great job with it. And then I'm sure there's been some questions, but Mr. Sawyer, anything you'd like to add before we move into questions towards the end?
No, you did a wonderful job in covering all the bases. I'll just echo,
Okay.
the balance that we have harped on a lot tonight. The biggest thing that I would say in that balance is making sure your student has time to rest and recharge. We just finished the season of the Olympics here, and I heard so many athletes talking about the importance of rest so they can bring their best selves to what they have to do for the work that they do. And the same is true for your students.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. All right. I know that we have some here that a lot of them were answered, but some of them were not. Alternates. So, we do ask students to choose an alternate for their courses. Now, obviously, for things like English, English 10, or if they choose global studies and we're not able to accommodate everyone, their alternate is automatically going to be regular English 10. Any sort of science courses, especially upper level science courses, they do need an alternate for, especially any honors and AP courses that they wish to take require an alternate. And anything in the electives, as far as the vocational art, the fine arts, the PE classes as well, require an alternate also. Am I forgetting anything, Mr. Sawyer?
No, that
Okay.
sounds perfect. And then the next one is, are students required to drop off that course selection sheet on paper? And the answer is no this year because of the change to school links. All we have to do is have them submit that course plan in school links, and that will suffice for what we needed to do for this year. So that is one thing that makes this process simpler this year.
Yeah, yeah. When will students learn of the final schedule, assuming end of May or after summer? Actually, that's something where we do work on it. I think that was already answered, though, actually. Yes, they are released in August prior to the first day of school. Okay. Do we
And
have
the recording of
DECA
this
at
will be on
Cal?
the YouTube channel. And
Yes.
the DECA, unfortunately, I don't think we have it at Cal. Is that correct? I
We do
looked through the
not,
club list and everything.
right, we do not have it at Cal High. I have had a couple of students who have had interest in it, and they were planning on talking to our business teacher about what to do to get that started. So I know that there is interest, but currently we do not. Okay. Two sciences in a school year. No, students may not do two core sciences in a school year. They may do one core science and one elective science. But again, that's only based on space availability. That isn't always the case, but students can definitely make sure to request one core science and one elective science if they wish to be a part of the pathway.
Mhm. And the next one I see is if a student makes the Frosh Soft team in 10th grade, would they still qualify for the PE credit? Yes, as long as they play for the entire season in 10th grade and then fill out that athletic PE form and turn it into counseling at the end of the season.
Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, what we have just learned is that we do not have an engineering pathway anymore. Obviously, we're very, we love our engineering department and our program, but yes, we are unable to offer it for next year. So I know that disappoints a lot of families.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Can we select AP Chem in 10th grade if the student is doing Chem in 9th grade? So this is kind of where advancement has kind of, sometimes we can have some roadblocks such as this, okay? So can they select it? Yes. However, AP Chem is typically a junior and senior level course. And so priority goes to seniors and juniors. All right. And sometimes that means that there may not be space to accommodate if a 10th grader um, wants to take it because they've advanced in biology over the summer, they took chem as a freshman, and then they want to take AP Chem as a sophomore, they could certainly request it, but they do need to have backups, including a non-honors and AP backup alternate. Okay.
We had a few questions about PE credits.
Mhm.
So we had a question about marching band. So if a student took marching band in 9th grade, would that count toward PE credit in 10th grade or PE credit in 9th grade?
Yeah, they do have to take marching band in the 10th and 11th grade in order for us to count it as PE. So yeah, the 9th grade, I know if you're a part of it, great. That essentially counts as a non-college prep fine art, but then it can start counting as a PE credit in the 10th grade and the 11th grade or 12th grade. I've been seeing here also a lot of questions on like, okay, if a student is going to take a class over the summer, what do they put on their course selection sheet? Super important. We talk to the students about this. If, say, for example, a student is like, I'm going to take geometry over the summer because I want to take Algebra 2 in my sophomore year, that's fine. However, you are still going to sign up for geometry in your course planner. Okay. And when you submit those course planners, make sure that you follow the directions for taking a non-district course and complete that intent form so that we know that's where you're going to let us know that I am planning on taking geometry. I've enrolled at this institution. Here's proof of my enrollment. And once I complete this geometry class, I would like to be placed into Algebra 2. We are going to go off solely off that form to build the master schedule, okay? But if you are not currently in geometry with us, you should not be signing up for Algebra 2, okay? Or if you're currently in Algebra 2 and you're hoping to take pre-calc over the summer, you are going to be signing up for pre-calc. So whatever you're planning on taking over the summer is what you're going to be signing up for the fall, okay? We'll make those changes at the end of the summer once we verify that you've taken the class, you've enrolled in it, and that you have passed it.
I see one that is asking about, do the students select courses both in IC and school links? And the answer to that is no. We're only having students do the selections in school links this year. They do not have to do it in Infinite Campus. So hopefully that simplifies things for you guys on your end. But yes, no need to select courses in Infinite Campus this year.
Right. Weighted and unweighted GPA is calculated. So essentially, any courses that are considered honors in AP, students are given an extra point if they earn a C or higher. Okay, so it basically kind of comes down to an A equals a 4.0, a B is a 3.0, a C is a 2.0, and so on. Okay, so if a student is in AP class and they earn an A, they would actually get an extra point that is averaged into their GPA. So that would count as a 5 as opposed to a 4. I always tell a lot of families, there's lots of different GPA calculators out there. I do like the CSU GPA calculator. You can just Google it. And that, that's a great one that you can use if you wanted to kind of see and formulate how your GPA would. All right. Hopefully that answers that
Okay, yeah.
one.
I think we're
So,
doing pretty good here.
okay, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
Miss Lapata was able to keep up with a lot of them, so thank you for doing that.
That's great.
And if
That's
anything, if we didn't get to anything, again, we're trying to keep the questions general and not like very scenario specific. If
mhm.
you have another question or if your student has another question, please have them email us or stop by during our drop-in times, and we would be happy to answer any further questions that they have.
Yes. Couple more just because I just saw these. No, and honors is in 0.5 and honors in an AP does give you the extra 1 point. Okay. The intent form for doing a class over the summer is not due by Friday. If you look on the district website, they do have a due date. I believe it's sometime in June to let us know that you're planning on advancing over the summer.
Correct.
And color guard is counted as part of the marching band, absolutely. Drop-in times are before or after school and during brunch or lunch, and that's for students only. Okay, so anytime before or after school or during brunch and lunch when we are available and they can come on in. And a lot of kids have been doing so, but again, also they could also try and attend one of our student support sessions this week too, if they have questions. All right, I think we're about at our time here with 7 o'clock. I think we're going to
Yes.
finish up here. I'll let you close it out, Mr. Sawyer.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us for an hour here. Thank you for asking great questions. And remember that this recording is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, and the slide deck will be posted on the Cal High Counseling website. If you just Google Cal High Counseling, will be the first thing that is returned in the search results. It's pretty easy to find that way. And as more questions come up, like I said, please feel free to email us. Please feel free to have your students stop by during the school day, during drop-in times. And as this is the busy time of year for us, we are looking forward to meeting with your students one-on-one in a couple of weeks here. And we're excited about planning for next year and seeing what that holds. Thanks everybody for attending, and we will be in touch soon.
All right, thank you all. Okay. I will go ahead and end it.